did my PhD at his school or at his space. उस टाइम पे मुझे पता भी नहीं था कि वो पॉसिबल है कि नहीं, क्योंकि as you told, this is not a trust, it is not a formal school as such, but I was very pertinent कि यही करना है, for reasons you will see in my slide कि ऐसा क्यों है. And whatever I will tell you about this space is something which I saw as a researcher external, so he will be adding or editing wherever required कि नहीं ऐसा नहीं है, तुमने गलत देखा है, समझ में आ रहा है, but it is completely my biased view about whatever I could see. So before that I just wanted to, I've been to a lot of academic conferences, industry conferences also. So what usually happens is you will not see this kind of energy anywhere. होता क्या है, लोग आते हैं, अपनी कहानी बताते हैं और चले जाते हैं. The kind of dialogue which has happened in this space and kind of relationship people have built because उनकी story सामने आ रही है. The passion with which they work, they are coming and talking. So something which I really enjoyed, जितना भी I could attend. So before I get into my PhD, so I call it a PhD tale. I'll tell you where little bit of my journey to understand कि ये topic क्यों, इस पे क्यों काम करने का सोचा. So I started as an engineer, like Amit, probably the worst engineer ever. उसके बाद my first thought was कि अरे तुम्हें engineering करना नहीं था तो तुम आए क्यों? Because till that point यही दिमाग में था कि IIT या NIT कुछ क्रैक करना है और इंजीनियरिंग करना है. किसी ने नहीं पूछा 12 साल स्कूल में, किसी ने नहीं पूछा कि करना क्या है. अब तो ये करियर काउंसलिंग वर्कशॉप होने लगे, पहले वो भी नहीं. So it was an immediate decision कि if you are good in academics, if you know science and math, तो आप इंजीनियरिंग करोगे. तो फोकस वही था कि इंजीनियरिंग करना है. तो पहले तो ड्रॉप ले लिया था, बट बाय चांस बाय लक किसी एक अच्छे इंस्टीट्यूट में नंबर आ गया तो चले गए. डजंट मैटर कि ब्रांच क्या है, क्या पढ़ने वाले हो, कुछ नहीं पता. बट व्हेन आई वेंट देयर आई रियलाइज्ड कि मैं यहाँ आया क्यों. मुझे आई लिटरली हैड नो क्लू कि मैं इंजीनियरिंग करने क्यों आया. सो पहला थॉट यही आया कि फिर बच्चे डिसाइड कैसे करते हैं. सो मैं सबसे पहले माय होल जर्नी हैज बीन अबाउट क्वेश्चंस. सो जो क्यूरियोसिटी की बात करेंगे उसी से मैंने ड्राइव किया है. आई हैड नो आइडिया वेयर विल आई लैंड अप. सो जो पहला सवाल ये है कि बच्चे डिसीजन कैसे लेते हैं कि मेरे को क्या करना है, कौन सा करियर चूज करना है. तो आफ्टर इंजीनियरिंग आई थॉट कि फर्स्ट आई विल ट्राई टू सी ऑन द ग्राउंड व्हाट इज हैपनिंग. तो मेरे को साइकोलॉजी और सोशल वर्क पढ़ना था. सो आई डिड माय मास्टर्स इन सोशल वर्क एंड देन आई डिड माय डिप्लोमा इन गाइडेंस एंड काउंसलिंग. कि पहले साइकोलॉजी समझूं तब मैं बच्चों के साथ जाके काम करूंगा. तो फिर माय फर्स्ट जॉब वाज पहले कॉर्पोरेट का, वो इंजीनियरिंग के बाद उसको छोड़ने के बाद द सेकंड जॉब वाज इन अ करियर गाइडेंस का ऑर्गेनाइजेशन व्हिच वाज एक स्कूल, नॉट एग्जैक्टली अ स्कूल बट एक महाराष्ट्र में गांव में. वी यूज्ड टू वर्क विद स्टूडेंट्स एंड कॉलेज के स्टूडेंट्स एंड स्कूल स्टूडेंट्स देयर. क्योंकि मुझे ऐसा लगा कि बच्चे डिसीजन ले कैसे रहे करियर गाइडेंस का. सो ओवर द टाइम जब मैंने उसमें काम किया, आई वेंट टू अ लॉट ऑफ स्टेट्स. I went to also private international schools and also government schools, गांव में जाकर अलग अलग जगह जाकर. So I realized कि यार प्रॉब्लम तो हम शिक्षा में देख रहे हैं ना. मतलब there is one way to look at it is कि there is a gap और आप करियर गाइडेंस या फिर बच्चों से बात करके आप वो फिल करने की कोशिश कर रहे हो. The other way is कि एजुकेशन में ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है कि बच्चे से पूछते भी नहीं है कि तुम्हें क्या करना है, तुम क्या चाह रहे हो. वो बस 3, 4, 5 सब्जेक्ट है, उन्हें नंबर लाना है, दैट इज द गोल. उससे क्या होगा, उसका क्या मीनिंग निकलेगा, उसका कोई डिस्कशन नहीं. सो आई थॉट आई कम टू एजुकेशन. दैट इज व्हाई देन आई डिड माय एमफिल एंड देन लेटर वो एमफिल करते करते फिर सोचा कि पीएचडी एक ऑटोमेटिक डिसीजन था. कि मुझे लगा कि मुझे ज्यादा जानना है इस स्पेस के ऊपर और उन स्कूलों के बारे में जानना है कि जो ये नहीं कोशिश कर रहे कि यही सब्जेक्ट पढ़ो, यही करना है तुम्हें और कुछ नहीं, जो कुछ तो फ्रीडम दे रहे हैं. सो मैंने सोचा मैं थोड़ा ट्रैवल करता हूँ. सो किसी ने मुझे बताया अमित के स्कूल के बारे में, तो मैं वहां गया. फिर अमित ने किसी स्कूल के बारे में बताया. ऐसे करके आई वेंट टू अ लॉट ऑफ स्कूल्स अक्रॉस इंडिया. पहले मैंने तेलंगाना से शुरू किया, फिर मैं तमिलनाडु, कर्नाटका, ऐसे करके मैं ट्रैवल करते करते स्वराज यूनिवर्सिटी उदयपुर में है, वहां तक गया, घूमते घूमते अलग अलग स्कूल्स. अब ये भी इंटरेस्टिंग है कि उस वक्त पैसे तो थे नहीं, तो जाओगे कैसे, ट्रैवल कैसे करोगे और वहां रहने का, खाने का खर्चा क्या होगा. तो मैंने सोचा कि ये होटल इंडस्ट्री बनी किस लिए. अगर हम सोचे तो हर तरफ ह्यूमंस हैं, तो द होल हॉस्पिटैलिटी इंडस्ट्री इज बिल्ट ऑन डिस्ट्रस्ट. कि ह्यूमन पे ट्रस्ट नहीं कर सकता, इसलिए तो आपको होटल में जाके रहना है. नहीं तो हर किसी के पास. तो जब मैं गांव में जाता था तो कहीं भी एक बेड दे देंगे, एक कंबल दे देंगे, कोई भी दे देगा। पर शहर में ऐसा नहीं होता। शहर में लोग ट्रस्ट नहीं करते एक दूसरे के ऊपर। फॉर आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि गलत या सही, बट दैट इज हाउ इट इज। तो मैं सोचा चलो कोशिश करते। तो मैं क्या करता था, जिस भी शहर में जाता था अपने सोशल मीडिया पे कहीं भी लिख देता था कि इस शहर में मैं आ रहा हूँ, कोई मुझे रहने खाने का जगह देगा क्या। मैंने कहा नहीं देंगे, नहीं देंगे, पूछ तो लेते हैं। एंड सरप्राइजिंगली बहुत लोगों ने ऑफर किया कि आ जाओ हमारे यहाँ रह लो। सब जहाँ जिस भी शहर में जाता था वहां पर किसी के घर पे रहने खाने का इंतजाम हो जाता था। एक बार तो ऐसा हुआ कि कोई शहर में वहां पर जानने वाला किसी का भी नहीं था, तो दोस्त के दोस्त के दोस्त के यहाँ पर किसी ने अरेंज करके दिया कि चलो उसके यहाँ जाके रह लो, तुम्हें खाना और रहना एक चटाई मिल जाएगी, तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। सो वो खर्चा बच गया। बस ट्रैवल करने, अब इंडिया में ट्रैवल ट्रेन में कौन टिकट ले रहा है, कैसे कर रहा है, जैसे तैसे ट्रैवल करके निकल जाते थे। ऐसे करके मैंने पूरा आधा इंडिया ऐसे ही घुमा कि जहां पर लोगों ने मुझे रहना खाना दे दिया और मैंने ट्रैवल कर लिया। तो वो मेरा बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है। मैंने 2 बार ऐसा किया कि देखने के लिए कि यार लोग, एक बार तो बैंगलोर में गया था, 4 दिन रहना था मेरे को, तो 4 लोगों ने मेरे को ऑफर किया, तो मैं 4 दिन अलग अलग लोगों के पास जाके रहा कि देखते जब लोग ऑफर कर रहे तो कम से कम जाके रहते तो हैं। इंटरेस्टिंग ये होता है कि हर का सोने का रहने का कल्चर सब कुछ अलग है, तो आपको अडेप्ट करना पड़ेगा। एक बार क्या, किसी की चाय में मैंने चीनी ज्यादा मिला दी, वो चीनी नीचे रह गई, तो वो डांट दिया मेरे को कि ये क्या तुम। तो मुझे फिर समझ में आया कि आपको अडेप्ट करना पड़ेगा। जिसके घर उसका कल्चर अलग है, कोई बंगाली है, कोई किसी स्टेट से, उनका सबका कल्चर है। सो वो अडेप्टिंग, फिर मैंने वहां से सीखा कि यार आप ऐसे कर सकते हो। तो जब मैं फिर अपने पीएचडी में टॉपिक डिसाइड कर रहा था, तो मैंने यही सोचा कि ऐसी कौन सी स्पेस है जो अलाउ करती है बच्चों को कि ऐसे नहीं कि एक सोशल क्लास, आप अगर इंडिया में देखेंगे ना, कोई भी स्कूल हो, एक सोशल क्लास के बच्चे आ रहे हैं, डजंट मैटर द स्कूल, वो उस क्लास का बच्चा उस स्कूल में जा रहा है, चाहे वो रूरल स्कूल है, अर्बन स्कूल है, एलीट स्कूल है, कोई भी है, सोशल क्लास एक ही को कैटर कर रहे हैं मोस्टली। तो मुझे ऐसी जगह चाहिए थी जहां पर बच्चे डिफरेंट सोशल क्लासेस से या स्पेसेस से आ रहे हैं और वो साथ में बैठ के कैसे पढ़ रहे हैं। तो वो अमित के स्कूल में हुआ। अमित ने आप लोगों को तो बताया नहीं, उसने तो अच्छी अच्छी कहानियां सुनाई कि ऐसे ऐसे होना चाहिए, बट वो दिखता कैसा है स्कूल में। अगर आप बच्चों को पार्टिसिपेट कराते हो तो उसका मीनिंग क्या क्रिएट होता है, वो मैं बताता हूँ कि जब when you do things like these which Amit has just talked about, what is the outcome, what does it lead to। वो मेरी पीएचडी की, मैंने अपनी पीएचडी की प्रेजेंटेशन में ऊपर नीचे के सारे थियरी मेरे निकाल, जो मटेरियल बचा है वो I'll show you। तो अभी when you as a researcher when you go to a space, बहुत लोगों की आदत है बहुत सारी फोटोज खींचना, वीडियोस खींचना। मैंने ऐसा कुछ नहीं किया, कोई एक भी वीडियो नहीं ली है। कुछ फोटोज ली जस्ट फॉर कि वो बाद में पीएचडी में लगानी होती है, नहीं तो वो भी नहीं लेता। बाहर से मैंने, क्योंकि ये मैं कर सकता हूँ, तो बाहर से मैंने एक फोटो लिया, वही एक फोटो है इसके अंदर स्कूल की। दिस इज व्हाट द स्पेस लुक्स लाइक। सो पहला इंटरेक्शन क्या है, अभी आप अगर सोच रहे हो ना एली ग्रो जाना है, लिटिल ग्रो जाना है, तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं, कोई तो बोर्ड होगा, कोई तो रास्ता होगा, ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है। आप चले जाओगे, सामने भी खड़े होगे तो कोई बोर्ड नहीं है, कहीं नहीं लिखा हुआ कि पता ही नहीं अली ग्रो है कहाँ। तो सबसे पहले पहुंचना ही मुश्किल था। अभी तो इन्होंने उस पे गूगल पे डाल दिया है, तो वो अच्छी बात है कि गूगल आपको ले जाता है कि स्कूल के सामने खड़ा कर देता है। सो जैसे मैंने एंटर किया, व्हेन यू एंटर द स्पेस, तो कुछ बच्चे यहाँ पर वुड में कुछ कर रहे हैं, कुछ बच्चे गार्डन में कुछ कर रहे हैं। अंदर जाते ही एक बच्ची कोरियन इंस्ट्रूमेंट सीख रही है। उसके एक कमरे में मैं गया, वहां पर सेम कमरे में मैथ भी चल रहा है और गिटार भी चल रहा है। ये कैसे, एक बच्चा मैथ भी पढ़ रहा है, एक बच्चा गिटार कैसे, क्योंकि स्पेस नहीं है तो बच्चे अपना अपना इंटरेस्ट ऐसे एक्सप्लोर करते हैं। सो इट वाज वेरी डायनामिक कि डिफरेंट चिल्ड्रन ट्राइंग डिफरेंट थिंग्स इन द सेम स्पेस। ऐसा इफ यू थिंक लॉजिकली तो सबको डिस्टर्ब होना चाहिए ना। अभी कोई गिटार बजा रहा है तो मैं मैथ में फोकस कैसे करूं, पढ़ने दो मेरे को। बट समहाउ इट वर्क्स आउट कि वहां पर बच्चे अपने अपने इंटरेस्ट के हिसाब से जो भी कर रहे हैं, दे ऑल डू इट टुगेदर। ऐसा कोई रिस्ट्रिक्शन नहीं है कि यार यही करना है, वैसे ही करना है। सो फॉर सम ऐसा नहीं है कि बिल्कुल ही लाइक सब्जेक्ट्स भी होते हैं, आपको वो भी पढ़ना है, क्लासेस भी होती हैं, बट बहुत जगह है आपको अपना इंटरेस्ट एक्सप्लोर करने के लिए। सो स्टूडेंट्स का एज के वाइज ऐसा डिवीजन नहीं होता कि ये बच्चा है 5 साल का है, फर्स्ट में जाएगा, फिर सेकंड में जाएगा, या थर्ड में जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं। ग्रुप्स होते हैं। सो देयर आर चिल्ड्रन सेम एज के जो डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स में एग्जिस्ट करते हैं। So when I went there, so I started playing with them. मैंने पूरा एंजॉय किया। मैंने कहा रिसर्च तो चलो हो जाएगी जो हो जाएगी, बच्चों के साथ बैठना, खेलना, केक, बहुत केक खाया मैंने वहां पर. Children, if they don't remember for anything, they'll remember how much of cake we ate together. So it was, for me, it was a lot of fun. So like this, they divided A, B, C group. अब तो शायद इन्होंने एक और D group भी शुरू कर दिया है, जिसमें बच्चे डिवाइड हो जाते हैं कि ये ग्रुप, आप ये समझ लीजिए प्राइमरी, मिडिल स्कूल एंड हाई स्कूल ऐसे करके समझ लीजिए.
ये चेंज होता रहता है बिकॉज जैसे अब बीच में एक साल पहले A1, A2, B1, B2 हो गया था. अब फिर से A और B हो गया है क्योंकि बेसिकली बच्चे डिसाइड करते हैं. तो हम लोग ईयर के शुरू में इस साल हम क्या करेंगे, वी ऑल विल सिट इन सर्कल एंड विल डिसाइड. तो हर एक बच्चा बोलेगा मुझे ये सीखने का मन है, मुझे ये सीखने का मन है, एंड वी ऑल्सो से मुझे ये सीखने का मन है और हमें ये पढ़ाने का मन है. दैट ऑल्सो एवरी चाइल्ड विल से एंड एवरी टीचर विल से वी वांट टू टीच दिस, वी वांट टू लर्न दैट, एंड फ्रॉम दैट कम्स द करिकुलम. The curriculum, there is no fixed curriculum. The curriculum comes from there only. Some things follow, like for the younger children, I have been teaching math, so I will put there that I still want to continue to teach math. So it will follow. I know that there are some children who come from migrant families, so they might not be here next year. So it's important that in the name of freedom we don't that they learn something, at least basics of language or something they learn. So somebody will fall, so something will fall in place like that. But the overall timetable and curriculum is dynamic because every child has a say in that.
What age groups you entry level age group?
Entry level is now 6-year-old is the youngest. So we said no one below 6. 6 to 18.
These numbers on the slide are like the numbers.
Which number?
Age.
The numbers like
Age.
So we have 7, but then some parents. So you'll also find 2-3-year-olds. Some parents say, please let us come and so. But officially we have 7.
So it's like a community space. मतलब you will also see बड़े लोग, बच्चे भी, parents भी coming and doing something. छोटे बच्चे भी coming and staying there. So these are teachers, इनकी intro की जरूरत नहीं. So when you say चलो हमें timetable prepare करना है, so everybody will sit together and decide कि क्या पढ़ना है, कब पढ़ना है, क्या possibilities हैं. They will all. Now what happens when there is a participatory timetable like this? What you will realize, suppose one of the students, एक student है, उसकी कहानी सुनाता हूँ. वो student ने पहले बोला कि मेरे को एस्ट्रोफिजिक्स पढ़ना है ना. उस स्कूल में तो कोई एस्ट्रोफिजिक्स का टीचर भी नहीं है, बट उसने बोला मेरे को पढ़ना है. तो he took the initiative that he will study. So he books were arranged for him and he started studying on his own. उसने एस्ट्रोफिजिक्स पर पूरी महारत हासिल करी. फिर उसने टीचर्स के लिए वर्कशॉप कंडक्ट किया ऑन एस्ट्रोफिजिक्स. He also sent a paper to Egypt कि मेरे को एस्ट्रोफिजिक्स में इजिप्ट में भेजना है. पेपर सेलेक्ट नहीं हुआ, कोई बात नहीं, बट he did all of this because he felt that he has to do this, he has to study this. Now it is not limited to that. कुछ टाइम बाद उसने बोला कि मेरे को तो क्यूबिंग करना है. So he became a speed cuber. He started doing cubing all day, night, and वो 10 सेकंड में, 8 सेकंड में कैसे भी he started solving cubes. After some time he started saying मेरे को चेस खेलना है, मेरे को ग्रैंड मास्टर बनना है. Started playing chess, so much of chess. Then he started saying football. Abhi he is doing economics. Point is कि we start thinking no कि अच्छा ये बच्चा तो यही बनेगा. But children are so curious. It does happen. The only thing we have to tell, जैसे वहाँ पर एक टीचर होती थी शालिनी, वो एक ही बात बोलती थी कि जो चीज लिया उसको पूरा करो. ऐसा नहीं कि लिया, वो क्विलिंग सिखाती थी, तो अगर आपने क्विलिंग को शुरू किया है तो उसको पूरा करने का आपका रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. You can change if you want to. But you become an expert in it or become good at it and then you change. Don't leave things in the middle always. So nothing wrong with that, but children are encouraged to go through with it and then change if they want to.
It was with this child Abdul. For me, it was a very difficult thing because he was so good in science and maths, and then he was preparing NIOS के एग्जाम देते हैं बच्चे 10 में और 10वीं में और 11वीं में. So So he wrote his 10th very easy for him to crack because already he has submitted paper and also 10th ka syllabus तो there is nothing for him. And then he's studying 11th, वो 1 year पढ़ा and after 1.5 years he tells me, no, after 1 year he tells me, I don't think I want to take science and math. I mean science. I think I'm done with it. Now I'm filled, it doesn't do anything to me now anymore. And for me it was like, how can you leave science? Like you are, but I kept listening to him. I said, if you have doubt, then you keep sitting with it. There is no point. Exam तो लिख लेंगे. 2 साल नहीं 3 साल बाद लिख लेंगे. It doesn't matter that you have to write. बाद में लिखेंगे. But you keep sitting with this question. And he kept sitting for this question, with that question, and we kept having conversations. And after 3 months, he told, "Now I'm completely decided. Science is out of the window." And he chose economics. That I want to study economics. I want to study politics. I want free time to study a lot of social sciences and things. That was slightly a difficult thing, but then he chose that, and then now he's studying economics in college. Huh? Now he's in college. So this happened when Priyank was there just 3 years ago.
If you see timetable में first और last में cleaning है, like there's no cleaning staff अलग से, बच्चे सब teachers मिलके ही करते हैं cleaning. And also like मैं वही बता रहा था, एक इंटरनेशनल स्कूल में दिल्ली में देखा, वहाँ पर मतलब मैं एग्जैक्टली मेरे दोस्त की कहानी है, वहाँ पर क्या हुआ, एक स्टूडेंट पानी पी रही थी तो पानी डेस्क पे गिर गया, तो वो बाहर जाकर क्लास से एक दीदी को बुला के लाई कि मेरे डेस्क पे पानी क्लीन करो. सो दैट इज द काइंड ऑफ डिग्निटी ऑफ लेबर एंड अंडरस्टैंडिंग वी आर ग्रेट इन दिल्ली, यहाँ पर रहकर इंटरनेशनल स्कूल के नाम पे, कि वो स्टूडेंट का काम वो टैबलेट में देखना है, वो पानी क्लीन करना नहीं. बट वो हाउ डू वी से कि हम एक ऐसी सोसाइटी बनाना चाहते हैं जो इंक्लूसिव है, when children don't understand कि they have to clean their mess, it is their responsibility. So there is a stop.
Clean others' mess also.
अपना तो करें मैंने. So होता क्या है कि it is not decided like this, but eventually ये इन्होंने नहीं बनाया, मैंने नहीं बनाया. You will see कि अगर कोई स्टूडेंट है तो वो किसी क्लास में किसी सब्जेक्ट में थर्ड में है, किसी में फिफ्थ में है, किसी में सेवेंथ में है, बिकॉज दे चूज देयर स्पेस कि मेरे को अभी ये समझ में आ रहा है, मैं इसमें तेज, मैथ अच्छे से आ रहा है, थोड़ा तेज चलते हैं, इंग्लिश में थोड़ा टाइम लग रहा है, थोड़ा टाइम लगाते हैं. ऐसा नहीं कि जबरदस्ती एक साल में उतना ही सब्जेक्ट पढ़ना है, उसको खत्म करके फिर आगे अगले उसमें जाना है. ऐसे करके देयर इज स्पेस. अब तो मैं तो रिसर्चर हूं, तो फिर आई विल आल्सो टॉक अबाउट द चैलेंजेस. होता क्या है कि अभी स्नेहा जैसे वन ऑफ द स्टूडेंट, शी इज अ तेलुगु स्पीकर बट शी डजंट वांट टू लर्न तेलुगु. शी इज लाइक कि तेलुगु पढ़ के क्या होगा, इंग्लिश पढ़ना चाहिए. सो क्योंकि उसका इंटरेस्ट नहीं है एंड वो अपनी मदर टंग ही नहीं पढ़ना चाहती, तो उसमें वो सो व्हेन देयर इज स्पेस लाइक दिस, सम स्टूडेंट लैग बिहाइंड, वो कवर नहीं कर पाते क्योंकि उनको उसमें इंटरेस्ट नहीं होता. तो ऑल्दो देयर इज अ डायलॉग, स्कूल की अच्छी बात है कि लॉट ऑफ डायलॉग हैपेंस, बट ये चैलेंज रहता है. ये आई डिस्कस्ड uniforms. This is also interesting. See, if you look at the history, this I took from Krishna Kumar. If you look at the history of, or he says that if you look at the history of uniforms, you'll realize that जिस countries को colonize किया गया, वहाँ पर uniform का culture. Now, if you look at the why uniform should exist, if you look at the literature, तो a lot of literature will say कि uniform से आपके learning outcome अच्छे होते हैं. There also literature will say कि learning outcome में कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. एंड देयर इज अ लिटरेचर से कि उससे खराब हो जाता है. तो मैं देखा तीनों बातें कर रहा है लिटरेचर. रिसर्च तो आपको जैसा रिसर्च चाहिए आपके नैरेटिव हिसाब से आप चूज करके डाल सकते हो. नॉट वेरी डिफिकल्ट. रिसर्चर्स ने सब कुछ करके दिया हुआ है आपके लिए. बट मोर इम्पोर्टेंटली व्हाट हैपेंस कि एक अजम्पशन ये है कि आपने यूनिफॉर्म किया तो बच्चों के डिफरेंसेस छुप जाते हैं. प्रॉब्लम ये है कि डिफरेंसेस तो जरूरी है ना. somebody with a cap or a tilak should be able to sit together. However, मैं ऐसे नहीं बोलता यूनिफॉर्म की इंपॉर्टेंस नहीं. व्हाट आई सीन इज कि यूनिफॉर्म क्रिएट्स अ सेंस ऑफ बिलोंगिंग. कि बच्चा जो स्कूल नहीं आ रहा है, जैसे बहुत जगह पे स्कूल नहीं आते बच्चे, तो क्योंकि वो यूनिफॉर्म पहनते तो लगता है मैं स्कूल का बच्चा हूँ, वो बिलोंगिंग से वो स्कूल आते हैं. सो दैट इज ऑल्सो देयर. बट इफ यू लुक एट कि आप अपने डिफरेंसेस के साथ क्लास में आते हैं, आई थिंक दैट इज व्हाट अ डाइवर्स क्लासरूम शुड लुक लाइक. तो यहाँ पर कोई यूनिफॉर्म का कल्चर नहीं है.
मतलब कल्चर आता है जाता है. Because again children discuss, no, so in between sometimes the uniform also started. They said why should we not have uniform? So they made their own uniform, but then they found difficulty because they wanted to have uniform, but then they very quickly found difficulty because they all were sitting in circle and deciding, and they could not come to anything which is there with everyone. कोई white t-shirt बोलता है तो मेरे पास तो white t-shirt नहीं है, मैं तो खरीद भी नहीं सकता white t-shirt. Okay, तो क्या करेंगे? Black pant करेंगे, black pant नहीं है. Then it's a headache to create uniform. They went back to.
Also narrative ये कि differences, देखो differences कहीं भी you will see differences in other places, bottles में, notebooks में, differences will be shown. Fee structure. What happens is now fees कैसे decide होता है? All parents are called. वहाँ पहले ये लोग teachers together make a budget कि इस साल हमें कितना पैसा चलेगा, how much money will we need to run the school, and every parent will come and sit and they'll present it to the whole parent group कि this is what the budget of this year looks like. This is what in totality we want. Now there are some parents who can pay 1,000 rupees a month. There are parents who can pay 10,000 rupees a month. Precisely why I wanted to work at this school, because ये बहुत कम होता है. Some elite schools have reservation and all but that is not enough. So now with this diversity, what happens is then parents, we decide the ones who can pay less, how much are they able to pay, how much is covered. Then the rest of the amount, we see if we can divide into parents. Then some parents like, we cannot pay this much. We cannot pay this much. See, because a lot of spaces like these are run on donations and funds. But as much as I know, Aligarh has not taken a single rupee of donation till today. And parents know that they are actually paying for other children also. It's like a community and everybody pitches in as much as possible.
One reason for me always trying to distance away from donation was that I always had this feeling that if I approach some people and ask for donations, then some people will come and say, it is easy for you to run, you are from IIT, you can get donations, you have friends, you have this. But then how will we run a place? I felt we should run a place which people can come and see, this is so simple to start. This I can start. So many of we can just start it off. There's nothing much required to start such a space.
And when you have children from different social classes or categories coming in, sitting together, there is a difference. It's not like every difference is evaporated. There's a difference. You will see the resources, the opportunities, and everything will be different. But that's what I think beauty of this space is. With those differences, they sit together and learn from each other. In fact, groups, you will also see certain social class children will sit with each other. That kind of thing will be seen. It's not like suddenly you can create magic and every child will be with every child irrespective of the social class thing. You will see certain groups forming automatically. But then it's not like you can stop everything. You create those spaces and let it be more organic. And so inflow hota hai. So it's not rigid group as such. Another very interesting thing is, Abhi, I think this was stopped when I was leaving, that they have weekly parent-teacher meeting. Abhi, it's not like a parent-teacher meeting where parents come in and they are told कि आपका बच्चा अच्छा कर रहा है, बुरा कर रहा है, क्या आप क्या घर में कर रहे हो, कुछ सिखाओ बच्चों को. It's not like you have to give a review about the child, but parents come in and share their stories. So it's a space created for parents, where parents come and talk about themselves, what they are facing, how their worldview is, what is happening with them. So a vulnerability for parents in the school is created. They can be vulnerable. They can come here and be a part of this community, own it as their own. And there's a lot of involvement of parents. Whatever this is, like one person knows weaving, they'll come and teach weaving. There are other parents. So whatever parents can contribute, they keep contributing. Sometimes they go to Hill for classes. It's not necessarily closed door classrooms ही होना चाहिए. It's not required. Power dynamics. I think this is very important, that who is a teacher when we question what is the relationship between a teacher and a student. See, we say that we should be friends with kids, we should be with them and all that. But somewhere you will have to say, no, you sit down, you don't do this. वो कहाँ फिर आएगा friend? When you start taking that power position, then it is very difficult to say कि we are only friends and like that. So you have to take those positions. So how does that power dynamics happen? Because it's a smaller space, and I've seen this, there is a lot of fluidity. Suppose you have to manage 500 kids, those places even more difficult to have that fluid power dynamics. And in these smaller spaces, that is why in the next class I'll talk about how we have to create these smaller spaces where power dynamics should be as fluid as possible. Now, a lot of times parents, or I've seen my own friend circle, they'll ask in alternative education, how do learning happen? When they have freedom, then nothing is very structured, then do they even learn? या फिर कुछ भी करके घर चले जाते हैं. So I started asking children about this. So you'll see different children have different views. One child is saying, I need freedom to explore. I don't want every time somebody to tell me what I want to do. Another child telling, I need a elder to tell me what I need to do. I cannot take the pain of deciding everything. When should I study? I can't decide on my own. Another child is telling his mother that I will work out things, you have to just trust me. Somebody telling I don't want freedom. So you see that diversity. It's not like there is a one structured way or unstructured way of doing things. That space where you allow children to be, listen to them and allow them to be. So what happens? So of course this leads to freedom of question. They are like one of the child in the class said that this is not fair. So there is a lot of questioning happening. But more importantly, when you create those spaces where children have the voice and you listen to the voice and then take decisions, I think what happens is, I need to talk about this. Okay. What happens is, it becomes very, very dynamic. And it's not easy to, it's not like every time we can handle it. So, this child needs handholding. Suppose there's a child who has an ailing mother. In India, if you look at large conventional schooling model also, why those large schools don't function? Because this whole setup is built on some standardized system. And a lot of people believe that they are poor, that is why they can't study, it is the money, it is the economics, but it is the social context and realities which don't make education possible in any form. And when these realities, when you cater to, somebody has an ailing mother, how will that child come to school? He's or she's the only one who can take care of the mother. They need space where they can come a little late. Abhi school ka time is fixed. You have to come this time, leave this time. But how to cater to the mother? There's a child who has something, an accident happened school mein. How will that child cater? Uska ek saal, one year is lost because that child could not come so regularly to school. So when you have these smaller spaces, there is possibilities of them moving along. And again, a lot of times teachers feel accountability on us. We have to make sure that this child learns. We have to make sure. State also says that teacher has to make sure, the school has to make sure. We forget, biggest brand ambassador are children. If they make sure, they understand each other, they help each other, nothing like it. Like when you enter in a classroom and you have to announce, let's say there is a result announcement happening and you come and say, oh, this child has scored 90%, please clap for this child. But nobody is asking that in the same class, how can somebody got 90% and another child failed? This 90%, did they think that, I have to help this child is not able to learn. So when you create a space where children take accountability of each other, when they say that, maybe I need to help this child, when they talk to each other, that culture creates a difference. Otherwise, there is so much realities of every child in their context, you cannot cater, teacher or school cannot cater to it. We have to create a space where children becomes each other's support. Instead of that competitive environment that if I have to come first, this person has to come second. So either I अच्छा पढूं या उसको पढ़ने ना तू. That is the way children think. So much of competition. But if they start thinking that we have to be all together in this and figure out space where we can help each other, then it's not the teacher alone in the battle, but the children are equally part of it. One interesting assessment.
there are two children, they're cousins. So this boy comes to me just about a month ago, and I was telling him that you're not. His mother was saying that he is not going regularly to his music class in the evening. I was talking to that boy that why are you not going to the music class? Then he was saying, see what happens is his cousin's sister, she doesn't have much interest, but she is forced to go. And then what happens is when we come back home, she always has to listen. See, your brother is doing so nice. He goes very regularly. He does this, he does that. So I was thinking, what can I do? I tried talking to them that you should not compare. This comparison is not good. It doesn't help. But but that hasn't worked. So he said that. So then I was thinking. Then I said that maybe if I'll start being irregular, at least that comparison will drop. At least she will feel a little peaceful. Then I said, good, only okay, you can go irregular.
Assessment. I think we have talked a lot about assessment. I'll talk about a very specific kind of assessment which happens. I'm calling it assessment. They don't call it assessment. What happens is the whole sare bacche, because it's a small group, they all sit together. Teachers sit together, and they give feedback or let's say a review or assessment to every child or every teacher. In that circle, every child and teacher will talk about everyone else. So let's say it's Amit's turn. Amit will sit down. Then every child and teacher will say, Amit does this, doesn't do this, Amit has this strength, doesn't have this. Now, think about this, it's a very, very vulnerable space. When I thought of it, I was like, is it even possible? Because in that group, anybody can say anything. Like one of the girls said, कि ये लड़का मुझे छेड़ता है. Look at the psyche. If somebody points out to a guy and says कि ये छेड़ता है, everybody is thinking कि ये लड़का कैसा है. And उसकी psychology पे क्या असर पड़ेगा? When you create a vulnerable space like this, where children have the freedom to say anything and allow them to be and listen to each other. It's not easy. It is only happening because you have been in that relationship with each other. There is so much of close bond with each other that you are able to say such things and then able to talk about it. And this equally give feedback to the teacher. ये teacher time से आता है नहीं आता है, अच्छे पढ़ाते हैं नहीं पढ़ाते हैं, ये करते हैं ये हमें अच्छा लगता है. So a lot, of course, apart from some bits, and they are very, very free to say things. It's not like सब बड़ाई कर रहे हैं. It's not like everybody is only saying good things. They say all the things possible, but such a vulnerable, at the same time, conducive environment that is created, and it goes on for days. एक दिन में नहीं होता है. Like how do you give feedback to every person? So it goes on for days. They all sit in a circle, and it goes on for days, and it is one of the most powerful things that I've seen happening. You can also, like, I was questioning it when I saw it. I was like, how do you even think about something like this? Because it's not easy. But unless you have that strong rapport in the group, unless they all can understand and then feel that they are their own, such a thing is very, very difficult.
Can you just elaborate how student or the children gives feedback to teachers? If 2-3 examples.
So the idea is we'll all sit in circle and say now it is my chance. Then every person, be it teacher or any child, they all will get a chance to. So my feedback will go for about an hour and a half, because every person will speak about me. And before that, they know that it is Amitanna's feedback today, so they will think about it. That what are some things, and we tell that, see, this is an opportunity for you to tell something to that person so that that person can improve in life, become a better human being, become better or whatever they are doing. So it is an opportunity. So think about it themselves. So whenever, even if you are giving critical feedback, give it, but do reflect within yourself. Are you doing it to hurt the person, or what's your intention? And with that intention, you give the feedback completely. So children would give. Try to give very honest feedback. In fact, and sometimes it's very difficult to take. Like the feedback that I got last year was, some children were giving good feedback. Then there were these other girls who said that you have not been that present this year. Present in the sense you were there, but you were still not there. It seems like you were lost somewhere. Thoda ghar pe problems thi. My wife had moved to Bangalore. Now she's moving back. So She sensed all that, and she was telling that there is something going, and then many children have given this feedback that you keep listening to other people's problem, but you never share your own problems. What is happening with you? You keep telling us we should share, we should seek help, but I have never seen you seeking help. So actually, I mean, it is very nourishing. The kind of feedbacks that you get from all the children, they help.
Is it one way or two way? The person who gets the feedback, does he get a chance to reply, or what
Yes.
kind of it is?
Yes,
So it's a dialogue
yes.
and it resolves.
Yes, sometimes it resolves, sometimes it doesn't. Like I remember in 2017 or 18, there was one parent who was very enthusiastic that I want to take social science classes. And she got a feedback, and she was taking with the younger one, 6-7-year-old. And 6-7-year-olds are honest.
Brutally.
They gave feedback. They were saying, "Auntie, your class was good, but we didn't enjoy it so much. We used to get a little bored." They actually tried to give it very nicely, but it was very difficult for her to take. So she kind of she was in tears after that, and she said that I came with so much of this, and almost everybody has rejected me and my class. It was so difficult that for next 1 month she stopped coming to the center. And it was only after 1 month that she again came back, and then she discussed, sat down with children. It took her almost 1 month to come out from that.
So I just want to know, like, when you are hearing a feedback, like for your case, for example, that you one child told you that you're not present the whole year. So when you hear that kind of feedback, so are you agreeing to that feedback in the sense that during that 1 year, did you ever feel for yourself that you were not present and now you are listening from that child, what that child is saying is actually true? Like, is that the same feeling, or you're hearing it as if, how come? So I just want to understand that part of it.
Depends from person to person. Sometimes, but most of the time, the feedbacks that, at least what I have got, because I can only talk about my feelings. Most of the time, the feedbacks that I have got from everyone have been helpful and were true. So when I reflect on it, what they are saying or what they have sensed is actually true. It helps me sense some things that I have not sensed myself. So it helps.
So have you started asking for help now?
Not so much.
I know, so
Because
there
there's
is
a follow-up
during,
action to
Yes.
that, you know.
Because it's I have also realized how difficult it is to change little things about ourselves.
no, so in your process of your like teaching and everything, is there any process that you have set for yourself or for teachers where they do get some time to reflect upon, to take a pause and see what's happening, how is it happening? Like, in some way, that do you have such processes?
We just have regular gatherings and meetings, so that for teachers we have not said anything. Anybody who comes, we just say that like they'll say that, okay, this is an alternative learning place. Who do you follow? What is your philosophy and all that? So we say we don't have any philosophy. We cannot have any one particular philosophy, or we don't follow anything. You come here, you spend time, you make your own relationships with children and teach the way you want to teach. If you come to our space, you might find a teacher who's teaching very differently, another teacher teaching very differently. So the teacher is given freedom to explore the way. The only feedback that the teacher will get it from the children. You can teach differently, but are the children enjoying it? So children are empowered to say after. Like there is one person who found the place very exciting. He started coming recently, about a month ago. And after 1 month, he got feedback from 2 children that you don't give us time to explore the questions. You are very quick to answer our questions.
So don't you think that teachers should know this already, like in the sense that when they are in that process and they reflect upon it, they actually get to know that they have to work upon it.
The feedback from children helps. Like even for me also, I've seen to know things are, but nothing more than that. This is what happens.
Similar experience I had few years back with the feedback sessions that you were mentioning. My question is about what kind of mindset and an attitude we are allowing the child to grow with. As you mentioned, maybe a 6 or a 7-year-old child who may not be able to understand. What I'm trying to say, is there a way how we are correcting them for the way they bring the feedback? See, for example, I may not understand what you are trying to say. A language may be different or a subject may be different. And I would outright say that I didn't like it. So I may be, and for the same subject, there is a different perspective for that particular teacher or that particular subject. Now that in the name of alternative learning, that students should be given an opportunity to do whatever they want, however they want, there's a difference between freedom and liberty. So there's a thin line difference. We call Swechachara and Swatantrata. So how is this taken care? I don't know if I...
I think just by understanding, because there cannot be any process to take care of this. It is just, it also depends on who's the child who said what. And if you understand that child, and the better you understand that child, you will know the intent also of that child.
That's what.
The better we understand the child, and you know, sometimes what happens, it's not just us, like teachers understand. For example, we start off the dialogue with what I said, that please do reflect on your intent. What is your intent of giving the feedback? It is to help the person or it is to hurt the person? All that you reflect, and that is told to children. But the thing keeps happening. So if a child gave feedback to one teacher who was teaching social science, she was, I think, 8-year-old kid. She said that I am not understanding I am not liking your class so much. Then the teacher asked that what is it that you are not liking? Are you not liking the content of my class, that I taught about this thing that we went in neighborhood, or is it that you are not liking the way I delivered the content, that I taught the content? I'm just saying plainly, but she asked in her language and all that. Then the girl sat down and thought. She said, I think I think the content is interesting. I liked studying about temples and all this thing, but I didn't like that the way it was structured, that we kept on going. I think we needed some break. So there was a conversation that happened, and the child was asked to reflect upon that. Sometimes a child will give some feedback for a teacher, and vice versa. Teacher will give a feedback for a particular child, and there will be others who will counter it very quickly. Like, for example, a child would say that the class is not very interesting, and the other children will counter very interesting. You keep disturbing in the class. You don't sit and you don't concentrate, and then you are telling that her class is not very interesting. I think she puts a lot of effort. So there will be a lot of these things that will happen to, and sometimes it will go in different directions also. But it's necessary that I think it is very necessary that the child feels empowered in the sense, not that I have this power. It is that if you
not constrained,
not constrained. Yes, that relationship is there. Just एक बच्चे का relationship, that relationship is there with the mother, no, or father. If a relationship is really healthy, then the child should be able to come and say no. She might not say it correctly, and that can be corrected. but that love is there to express anything openly. That has to be there.
So the idea or thought was like, how are these intentions or the thought behind these kind of feedback would be taken care, even if you understand that the child's intention may not be, or is this child strong, rooted enough to understand these big
So
things as an
sometimes-
intention?
Can I come?
Sometimes something happens where the one feedback might disrupt the whole process.
Correct.
Like for example, we are thinking कि हमें 3 दिन में complete करना है, but आज जो feedback मिला, so for us it's not important that 3 दिन में complete करना है. This feedback has disrupted the process. Then we have to be with that feedback till the time it heals. So it might take 3 days, 4 days to sit on it, make them sit together and talk, and we'll postpone everything else.
Okay, I just, there are many things which get created. So it's all about what you have. This is how I felt. So when you see different learning spaces, be it government schools or otherwise. So in a circle or when we're talking like this, as long as I believe that I'm a teacher and I have to be the correct one, of course you will feel challenged when a child asks. So if the underlying philosophy or is that a teacher is superior in that sense and I am the elder and therefore I have to decide. As against that, we are all exploring what is happening and therefore we are all, we can decide commonly and therefore I can also be correct and I can also be wrong. So this is what you've created in the beginning. So we've got to create that relationship right in the beginning, I think, for the question that you're looking at. Then perhaps the intent becomes, see, anybody in the circle when is asking to anybody else, it's about this and not about this. So in that sense, then it's, so we, before we actually arrive at these processes, we've got to build those relationships, we've got to build those trust to then have such kind of processes.
Yes. And it is a very slow process. Like
Yeah.
there was a teacher who had joined us 3 years ago. When she joined, she said, yes, I am also so interested and we should all be open and all. In last 3 years, she has broken down 4 or 5 times. She more. She's cried. She has said, and at one point I thought that she is feeling distressed, she'll leave. But she has stayed on because there is something that is pulling her also, but breaks her also. That why did this child give me this feedback? Similarly, children have also cried. Children also break down. They also, it's not just that. But we have to unravel. We have to do all this thing to come closer.
And also you took the name of Tolstoy. And Tolstoy's school gives many evidences where children fight but they become the best friends.
Yes.
Children, when the environment is positive, many things find their root on their own through children themselves. So it's required what sort of environment we create, what sort of platform we create for them. Then they take charge of many things. And Tolstoy gives many nice examples which sometimes one cannot believe in also.
Yes. I keep seeing that among children. Like I remember, but one day there was this one girl was standing and this boy, they were 6-7 year olds, and he was pulling her hair. And she came and she told Amitana, and I said, and I think I was in some mood. So I went and said that, see, everything is allowed, but this violence and all is not allowed. This pulling hair and all, it's nonsense. And then I told that girl that, you know what, we'll not talk to him today. And in lunch, when I was coming out, I reminded myself, we don't have to talk. I don't have to talk to that boy today. And when I came out, I saw they both were sitting together, sharing lunch, talking happily, enjoying it.
Children resolve conflicts better than adults. They don't keep it in their heart.
So,
I've got an intimation from Kashyap ma'am.
My only submission is that as a coordinator, I got this formal duty of having a valedictory. And in fact, there are 2 programs simultaneously going on. So VC ma'am has to go there at 2. And if she has to go there at 2, there's lunch that we've got to have before that. So she said, I'll come at 1 here, and then by 1:30 we should wind up, and then you can continue with your program after that. So that is why I had to give you this. We can continue with the discussion. We'll just have a formal kind of valedictory so that she goes for lunch, and then we can come back here. Can we do that? That is right. So if you want to take time, we can take that after
So
lunch.
I need 5 minutes.
Okay, good.
To finish. Some things we can only understand when we go and see there. I'm honestly saying, particularly to this peer feedback. If you look in theory, it was impossible. When I first thought about it or heard about it, I was like, "ये तो बिल्कुल," but it's very powerful. Okay, I just wind up. Not much left. So, we talk about fast-moving competitive school environment, but there is, in this space, you'll see a lot of discussions on how we can make it more small and more slow, which is very important. One thing I wanted to bring to this was, see, sometimes parents of a certain socio-economic background will be worried about कि मेरे बच्चे छोटे